Now, what is sleep paralysis? What happens during sleep paralysis? And what you can possibly do to survive sleep paralysis. This is Filipino Flo, and we're going to be talking about sleep paralysis, otherwise known as Bangungot. Do you feel the vibes? Now, what is sleep paralysis? It's the temporary inability to move or speak while falling asleep or awakening. Now, what happens during sleep paralysis? The common symptoms are feeling like something is sitting on your chest or applying pressure to your throat. You can't move or you can't speak, you can barely breathe. Most others claim that they see things or hear things that really aren't there. They will see shadows or even figures in the same room when they're just hallucinating. Now, it's impossible to really differentiate reality from hallucination, especially when you're in the middle of awakening from your sleep. This causes people to go into utter panic, and then they try to yell for help and at the same time move when you can't move a muscle. The only thing you can do is wiggle your toes. Pretty much it. No matter how hard you try to yell, it always results into something like this. Now, when you try to breathe, it's the same thing as when you speak or yell, except try to breathe through a straw, like a very small coffee straw, except more difficult. Now, when it comes to moving, you can't move a muscle whatsoever. It feels like you're in a tight space. Now, how does it affect me? My experiences are different. When I'm having an episode, the only thing I can do is wiggle my toes. Now, over the years, I've learned to actually force myself to wiggle my head like so, as if like I'm having some type of a seizure. Wiggling my head actually helps too. But then, of course, I can't say or yell out anything. It's a struggle to breathe, and yes, of course, it's a struggle to move a muscle. I've learned to anticipate when sleep paralysis or bangungot occurs. I could be in the middle of a dream, and then next thing you know, that dream turns into a nightmare. Call me crazy, but then that's when I anticipate sleep paralysis to occur. Now, right before a sleep paralysis occurs, I always get myself mentally prepared. Highly impossible. My latest episode was the other day. I was having an argument with this lady. We were in a staircase. Next thing you know, I noticed footsteps from my left. When I looked, there was nothing there. And then when I looked back at her, it started to get more intense. This is when my anticipation for sleep paralysis began. Immediately after, my whole body goes into a state of paralysis. Next thing I know, I'm waking up. Or at least, that's what I hoped I did. As soon as I woke up, my body is in a state of stiffness. I can't move. The first thing I did, of course, was wiggle my head. That's pretty much all I did. But then recently, using my head to force myself to awaken, it took a little bit more of an effort. While I'm forcing my head to turn side to side, I felt like I was able to lift up my right arm from my stomach. Or at least that's what I thought I did. So next thing I know, I was able to open my eyes. I can see the sunlight coming through the window, shining down on me. But here's the crazy part. While trying to shake my head and at the same time lift my arm, I don't see my arm lifting. This is when it started to concern me. I literally thought I was having an out-of-body experience. Next thing you know, I tried to move my left arm and try to raise it from my side. All of this while I'm shaking my head and lifting my right arm, of course. Then it felt like I was actually able to lift up my left arm. I was finally able to wake up using my head. Then next thing you know, when I wake up officially, I find my left arm above my head, like so, and my right arm is still on top of my stomach. And I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, I had an out-of-body experience at the same time experiencing sleep paralysis. Although I wanted to go back to sleep, I told myself, don't go back to sleep because it will start all over again. And it's happened before. After I survived sleep paralysis, as soon as I close my eyes, my whole body just shuts down all over again. There was one time during my college days, I almost died from sleep paralysis. Before that, I gotta get a shout out to my cousin for rescuing me, saving my life that morning. Now, according to him, he walked into the room and noticed I was struggling to breathe and even heard me doing this. So the only thing he did was try to wake me up and notice my whole body was stiff. Since me and him were pretty much best of friends, he shook my whole body and even punched me, according to him, until I woke up. And then when I woke up, I found him like literally hitting me. And I looked at him like, what the hell are you hitting me for? And that's when he said to me, Bangungot ka. So instead of getting mad at him, I ended up thanking him. Love you, go. No homo. Now, what can you do to avoid or survive sleep paralysis? 1. Don't eat a full meal before you go to bed. This is pretty much a given for anybody who goes to bed. You're not supposed to eat a meal before going to sleep. I'm guilty of that because I always eat before I go to sleep. In recent months, I've been teaching myself to not go to sleep right after eating. It's just that food coma, man. Okay, I just jumped from one topic to another. Tip number 2. You're not supposed to fall asleep on your back. But me, of course, just like everybody else, while we're laying down about to go to bed, we're on our backs because we're on our phones or tablets or whatnot. We're either on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. I myself am pretty guilty myself. And then half the time we end up falling asleep while using our gadgets. Or maybe you just like falling asleep on your back regardless. You're supposed to be falling asleep on your side. The only thing when I fall asleep on my side is when I wake up and I turn, toss and turn, toss and turn. For some reason, I find it easier to fall asleep on my back. Now, how can you survive sleep paralysis? Pretty much the common. You have no choice but to wiggle your toes. I'm not gonna show you my feet, kid. That would be just weird. Or I can just show you this. Then hopefully over the years, you can learn to survive it like I do. Minus, of course, the facial expressions. You can start to force your arms to move, which is pretty rare. But then hope that you don't have an out-of-body experience like I did. Having out-of-body experience plus sleep paralysis? I don't want to go through that ever again. And there you have it, guys. If you learned something from this and found this very educational about sleep paralysis, give it a thumbs up. If you yourself experience sleep paralysis like I do, share your story in the comments below. I'll be listening. If you know somebody that just recently had an episode for the first time or always have episodes of sleep paralysis, show them this video. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please do so right now. This is your boy Filipino Flo. I'm out.